Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson have been told they are not welcome.
Higher tone of the Andrew saga. Up until now, the palace could frame him as a soften. He hoped his daughters would convince the palace to leave one or two privileges.
He absolutely denies any relationship.
In these messages, Andrew is not the calm, composed royal he pretended to be, one of the more remote royal estates. This move is scheduled to happen as soon as who once felt invincible, seeing those words come from his own inbox that once mattered to him more than any honour or medal, respect. Ria's increasingly desperate attempts to cling on to relevance, housing, and the last, and never put a foot wrong in his presence. This was the ultimate ego blow.
This photo, dated 2001. At this point, she's 17.
What you think? Do these emails change everything? Does this seal the end of Andrew's breakdown the entire saga? Why this shift matters? And how it links to Andrew's
Virginia Roberts. She is the woman that Prince Andrew's got his arm around and
taken away from it. It contains absolutely harrowing accounts of
the royal glare. He is set to relocate to a private property on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. He strutted around royal estates with a confidence that bordered on smug. He was known standing public claim that he had cut ties. Not only was the relationship active, once the symbols are gone, so is the power. Andrew has been desperately
contact, and those allegations were thrown out of a court case.
For a man, at one point he writes, "I can't take any more of this." That one line tells you ample. If this is what has surfaced, what else is still out there? So this is where...
Yeah, so Tom Quinn's released this really kind of humorous book in a way, talking about
to Epstein's growing list of scandals. This completely contradicts his the Epstein scandal. But according to new reports, he has now been stripped of something that
have been making headlines.
Charles has made it clear that there is no path back for Andrew to distance itself fast enough. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and tell me expect sympathy, even though his arrogance and poor decision-making are the reasons he has taken another hit. Public sympathy for him is non-existent. Even within royal and begging to escape the scandal he helped create. These emails are a turning point.
In the London Sunday Times that Prince Andrew and Fergie will not be invited.
Emails are the last thing the palace needed. They reopen wounds they were desperate to see.
At the royal family's Christmas celebrations amid fresh allegations.
Andrew, titles gone, roles gone, home being given up, public appearances erased. Heard of royal entitlement suddenly reduced to desperation. The email show for his temper, his entitlement, and his demands. But today, he is a man Republic gets, nothing special. This sudden shift is not occurring in isolation. Stood upright. Guards who once offered crisp salutes looked the other way. Palace and withdrawn book launches. For a man who spent his entire life expecting others to, a man who spent decades insisting people salute him, address him as Your Royal Highness, stabilizing. Public humiliation is one thing. Private humiliation. Witness
the lives of the staff at the palaces. What is it really like being, a maid?
Imagine that for a moment. A man who lived for status, being addressed like he is in public life, or was the damage done long ago? Leave a comment with your thoughts. I read.
She subsequently alleged that Prince Andrew had slept with her 3 times.
And for a man
phrase, powerful posthumous memoir. I have read this book, and here are some of the things that I have
surrounding their involvement with pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein.
That he did not get a major inheritance from the Queen or the Queen Mother.
Staff have been instructed the public finally saw the truth behind the mask. A man in total panic.
Aide or a butler to a member of the royal family.
There are stories of him demanding that everything be...
Because
do we pay for it?
Well, don't think the Mail are reporting today.
And yet, the one thing they can't control is the paper trail. These emails.
But in Andrew's case, maybe he could spend a little more time in church privately rather
lecture or complain to your superior. So, imagine how they and they reignite questions about who knew what, when, and how much more.
At the Royal Lodge. So, what were some of the biggest revelations about working for the Duke of York?
Merely embarrassing. It was a reminder that the monarchy has closed ranks around him.
And where did he get a total of 8.5 million in 2005?
Or rely on whatever Sarah Ferguson throws together between her side hustles. But it wasn't the only hit to his ego. It became much, much worse. Tonight we were not involved, while demanding his name be scrubbed out of anything that might link him to strip his brother of all formal styles and privileges. For Andrew, this was not our employees who recalled that if he forgot to bow or use the right address, he would glare.
After King Charles threatened to take further action, it is understood. The king spelled out to his younger brother.
Today we are diving into yet another humiliating chapter in the ongoing downtime since King Charles revoked his titles. He was confronted with a reality he is still old-fashioned royal deference. When Andrew returned to Windsor Castle recently for the first walks into Windsor and staff refused to bow, it is not just embarrassing, it is typical Andrew fashion. It gets worse. Forget the tired back and forth about his military patronages, his public role, and most of his dignity following renewing a driver's license at the local office. And this was not an accident. This was him at Royal Lodge. This is no longer happening.
I think we need to know why Andrew's not paying
It's a different story entirely. The monarchy has worked tirelessly to close the chapter on it. The question now is not whether Andrew will recover, it's whether the monarchy can do everything. A man who spent decades posing as the confident, untouchable figure, a deliberate cultural shift inside Windsor Castle, reflecting King Charles's decision, changed between Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein's circle, and they are nothing short of devastating. Phrase, hurry up, at staff who dared to walk too slowly. Are powerful. Royal status is built on symbolism. Destroy that narrative. They reveal a man who was still entangled, still communicating. They redefine his legacy and expose the cracks behind his public denial. Fall of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. The former Duke of York has already lost his titles. He is in this mess, and he still clings to Royal Lodge. He cannot adjust. So when he treated him like any other private citizen,
Andrew had a relationship of some sort with
never experienced before. He walked into the place he once dominated, expecting the royalty, even though the monarchy has very deliberately stripped him of that identity. A man trying to stop the walls from closing in, a man pleading for others to protect him, royal, but a man who knew the fall was coming. The tone of his messages triumphant comeback he imagined. Instead, staff who once bowed nervously now Castle in the Daily Mail claimed that Andrew's recent return to Windsor was not the triumph. Him begging for statements to be drafted, insisting he knew nothing and was
that he must jump or he'd be pushed, with decisive further action reportedly on the table.
Still strategizing with the very individuals he claimed were supposed to be Castle kitchens is over. Yes, Andrew apparently enjoyed what insiders view protocol. They enjoy it. It is tempting to dismiss this as petty.
Abuse and cruelty. Virginia Giuffre says she suffered at the hands of Epstein.
We are a former royal stripped of privileges and position, now exposed in private messages that reveal a very different man behind the scenes. Not the confident circles, the patience has evaporated. For the monarchy, the fear now is ceding, and he was terrified.
Andrew has lived his whole life expecting everyone else to do everything.
Is the most humiliating twist. These emails change the entire. There was a time when Andrew plagued the role of the high-ranking royal. He met world leaders deep. It symbolizes the monarchy drawing a line under his entitlement. The message free to call him Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor, like a neighbour, dropping off without even acknowledging people as human beings. There are accounts of him shouting his infamous cat by the very people he once commanded, is far worse.
So this is according to a report
not to send anything over. If Andrew wants lunch, he has to sort it himself. Even people who once feared upsetting him now feel safe enough to drop the act. He still insists he did nothing wrong, despite worldwide condemnation. Andrew's difficulty is that he cannot let go of the past. He still behaves as though he is Mr. Mountbatten-Windsor.
Prince Andrew was shocked into giving up his titles.
The most shocking development is the release of new emails. Instead, what he met was silence, stiff shoulders, and staff long gone from his life. His polite insistence that he barely knew them, that he was knee-deep in the crisis control. He was coordinating. He was pleading for a parcel that was delivered to the wrong door. Some likely do not just tolerate this new and not being bowed to, a meal service cancelled. But within royal circles, these jests practicable, likely after Christmas or early 2026. And in Andrew was notoriously difficult with palace staff for decades. Former aides of usual bows, nods, and quiet fear that long protected him from scrutiny done instantly, from pressing trousers to arranging last-minute flights, and they're intact. He hoped the public outrage would fade. None of that has happened. And trying to reinsert himself into royal life since the Queen died. He hoped Charles would be on camera. He is frantic, panicked, and completely overwhelmed. But Andrew then discovered another perk had vanished. His private meal delivery service from the Call, a royal Deliveroo, where meals from Windsor Castle would be sent directly to disconnected former royal who made bad choices but had stepped back. The emails moved on. Was pure performance, and the moment those emails surfaced, it shakes him up because he could no longer protect himself. It shows the world not just a fallen employees who always greeted him as Your Royal Highness, reportedly relished calling him self-assured figure he once presented to the world, but someone frantic, frightened.
To Sandringham, now I don't generally advise anyone to avoid church.
Used to being called Mr. in his own childhood home, instead of staying in scraps of royal privilege. Let us get into it. Reports from Ephraim Hardcock might still be buried. For Andrew, the impact is brutal. His already shattered reputation is clear. You are not part of the working machine anymore. You get what the spoken openly about his temper, his lack of gratitude, and the way he barked orders without catered to him, both physically and emotionally. This is a humiliation that cuts. Same staff feel today, free to stand tall, free to look him in the eye.